what's so rewarding about that is you really get a chance to help people. You make a difference. And you'll hear me say a lot of times in my conversations, difference makers in the community or difference makers. And that's what it's all about. You know, the rest of this stuff takes care of itself.
Welcome to For the Record, a Wayne County Chamber of Commerce podcast, where real conversations meet real impact. We dive into the stories, insights, and experiences that shape our world, bringing you expert voices, thought-provoking discussions, and a fresh perspective on the topics that matter most. For the Record is proudly sponsored by Atlantic Casualty Insurance Company, T.A. Loving Company, Goldsboro Builder Supply, PDM Professional Data Management, UNC Physicians Network, Alta Foods, and Butterball. We're grateful for their support and making these conversations possible. And for the record, we're glad you're here.
Hey, for the record, I'm Todd Walker, and I am so happy to be here with my good friend Harlon Neal. Harlon, how you doing, brother?
I'm doing wonderful, Todd. I hope you're doing well also. And man, what a way to start a day. When you can sit down and have a conversation with Todd Walker, that's a heck of a day. So we're getting off to a great start. So thanks for inviting me to sit down and have this great conversation.
No, brother, it's certainly my pleasure. And most all the folks who are going to be watching this, they certainly know who you are, Harlon. And from my perspective to you, I do want to say on behalf of the Chamber, thank you for all that you've done. You know, as Harlon, right now, you are the Chamber Board President. And I will tell you what, I met you about a year ago when I got back from a deployment. And then just your energy got me so excited about the Chamber, where it was going. At that point in time, I wasn't sure where the Lord was leading me. I was still in the military. But right off the bat, I'll tell you what, you brighten a room. You do. And I know you're a humble guy, but I just want to let you know that. I want to let you know from us, thank you for leading the Chamber over this past year. We are getting close to the end, which is kind of crazy.
It is crazy. It seems like we just got started.
Mm-hmm.
But looking forward to it. We've had a great year so far. And, I remember early in the year, obviously Scott Satterfield made a professional change and certainly best of luck to him. And I know he'll do really well in a great field, actually the same field I'm in, actually.
Right.
So, we got together a great executive committee and the Lord had a plan.
He did.
And we found Todd Walker, and you can't ask for anything better than that. So for you to be in that position, and a lot of your success in life, I think, is being around the right people too. You surround yourself by great people. You hang out with the right people. You affiliate yourself in the right people. You pick their brain, you borrow ideas, and you put your stamp on it as well. But I think that's a huge part of it.
Well, I think that's going to be the fun part for the next few minutes that we're going to talk about. Because, why we have you here is because of who you are and what you've done in the community. But who you are as a person, whether it's as a father, as a senior leader, as a husband, as a community provider, and as a football broadcaster, of course, as well.
Yeah, that nice little hobby on the side there.
Which I love that.
Yeah.
But with you here, what I'd really like to do, in looking at your success and where you're at, I always have to go right to the beginning. And so where did you grow up? Tell us a little bit about that. Well, first, tell us a little bit about what you do right now. Yeah. And then tell us about how you grew up and where you grew up.
Yeah, currently right now I'm a financial advisor and work as a certified retirement planning counselor with Janney Montgomery Scott, which is financial planning. And, I always tell clients, we got to get them to retirement and we got to get them through retirement. So, but a lot of it's like putting together portfolio strategies and things like that for your clients. And what's so rewarding about that is you really get a chance to help people. You make a difference. And you'll hear me say a lot of times in my conversations, difference makers in the community or difference makers. And that's what it's all about. The rest of this stuff takes care of itself, but you're really sincerely helping somebody. And kind of where I got that background from is my father, Ken Neal, he was actually a Marine officer before I was born.
Wow.
But later on, he actually moved to Goldsboro when I was like maybe 2 years old, actually. And then he was actually at Wayne Community College. He actually taught at Wayne Community College for almost 40 years.
Oh, my.
And he was head of the business department. So I got a lot. I was very, very blessed and fortunate to have parents like that. My mother was a school teacher, 34 years in the Wayne County school system. Taught at New Hope, Meadow Lane, mainly second and third grade. So I was very blessed to have great parents and just a great fabric and foundation to kind of build off of.
No, and you can see that. And we've talked a lot about that. And I know the other day, or I think maybe a couple of weeks ago, I saw a great picture of your dad, and you're certainly a spitting image of your pops.
Yeah.
But it's wonderful to see how much you love them because I'll tell you what, it shows in how much you love Allison and your children as well. And that is so important to me to see. But what would you say, as you're growing up, and I think about this like when I was a kid, with my mom and dad, and I try to look now at 52 and kind of see those lessons that they taught me. Was there something that sticks out to you that really just grasps you, the saying, thank the Lord for my mom and dad for doing this?
Yeah, great question there, Todd. And pretty much it was mom and dad taught me always to be kind to people, be kind to everybody, and be positive. And I remember my dad, I would be out in meetings with him sometime, or I'd go to Wayne Community College and see him, even when I was a little kid and growing him up, because he was out in the community a whole lot too. And it didn't matter who he came in contact with, whether it was the CEO of some Fortune 500 company or just, a mechanic worker or anybody. It didn't matter about their demographics, their race, their color, religion. He treated everybody the same. And that really stuck out. He just taught. He was really very positive with people, very courteous. And that kind of flowed to me. And what I try to do, one of my personality pretty much is I think it's important to be kind to people, smile and be positive, because you never know what somebody's going through. Chances are they're going to probably encounter somebody that's not going to be nice to them during that particular day. I don't want to be that person. I want to be just the opposite. If I can make them smile or make them feel a little bit better for just a moment, that's a heck of a day.
It's a great day. And you do that right now too, right? So I can't help before, I'm kind of skipping a little bit, but when I think about that, of what you've learned, it seems to make sense that that's where you're at right now in your life with what you do for helping people, really help them, guide them to make great choices and help them get to the point in time where they can have that peace in their life. With that said, when I look at you and I think of how you grew up and I think of your family, this is where I want to sit for just a second too, because I got to tell you, when I see you and Allison out and I see the love that you have for her, and just a second ago before we started shooting this, you talked about your children too and about how great they're doing. What does it mean to be a dad and to watch your family doing so very well? What kind of blessing is that for you?
That's the ultimate blessing. And thank God for it. I often say sometimes we get all these fancy titles. Sometimes Colonel Walker, I get these initials behind my names for certifications and all these professional designations and all that stuff. But you know what? The best title in the world is Dad. That's always been number one. Always been number one. So yeah, we're very blessed, Allison. And actually, we're celebrating our 36th wedding anniversary tomorrow.
Oh my goodness, congratulations.
September the 16th, way back in 1989, it all started. So, but anyway, so just very blessed to have her. She's a pharmacist at Cherry Hospital, was a phenomenal mom. And we both had our roles. Both the kids have done really, really well. They're both, Cody's getting ready to finish up CRNA school. He'll be a nurse anesthetist. So he'll be working at Rex Hospital in Raleigh next year. He's already signed his contract there. And then Hannah, my daughter, she just started CRNA school at UNC Charlotte. So that's a 3-year program. So, just very blessed. But, and that's how, and a lot of it, I think too, mom and dad spent a lot of time with me I was the only child. I didn't have the brothers and sisters that some people did, so it was all on me. But I really appreciated what my parents did for me growing up, and that kind of translated to help your kids. And what you want to try to do there is you want to put them in a position to succeed. Now, they got to want to do it at the end of the day, but give them the resources, the knowledge, teach them. You have some ups and downs. You have some sit-down talks where you got to talk to them about certain things, but that's kind of what it's all about. One quick story that comes to mind, and this is something I always appreciated about my mom and dad. They worked very hard during the day. They would come home. I remember as a kid, I kind of almost feel like, man, Harlan, you were very selfish back then. I loved sports, as you well know.
I do.
I would have the catcher's mitt and the baseball glove on the porch waiting for my dad to get home to throw. I was a pitcher, to pitch and throw catch. And before he would even get in the door, he would unloosen his tie.
Yeah.
We would get out in the front yard. I grew up in Oak Forest, which was a great subdivision back in the day. And he would sit out there and throw and let me throw and pitch with him for 20 or 30 minutes or so. Even before he got home, I know he was tired, at the time I was kind of selfish. I probably didn't as much, but later on you really appreciate those things. But he took the time to do that with me, knowing he'd had a tough day, I'm sure, but he did it, always did it. And that's giving back to your son. And so when I was growing up, those are kind of the things that I did with my son and daughter too. It was all about them. We talk about balance, and we'll probably get into that a little bit later in the discussion. But your kids are our future. The youth is our future. What better investment? And I know we're going to talk about some other things, but not only invest in my kids, but other kids in the community too. That's our future.
You bet. That is the good thing to sit on for a second too. You look in this community here and there's all that opportunity, right? When we talk about investing in other people, when we talk about looking at the betterment of other people and counting others more significant than ourselves. I think that's one of the great things about you, Harlan, is the fact that it's great. And I think we all need to hear that you had a mother and father that loved you very much, that committed time to you, which I think is important because I think today some folks may say it is a bit different in some aspects, right? I mean, things, when it comes to the hustle and bustle, I will tell you, I struggle at times with trying to find that time to sit back and look, what's the most important thing to me? And it's obvious with you that it's always been Allison and the kiddos. What I'd like to sit with that too is when you talk about playing baseball, and we love baseball. So one of the great things I love is you and I went to the Carolina Hurricanes hockey game not too long ago. It's the first hockey game I ever went to. It turned into about 75 hours because it went into double, triple overtime. And I've never seen more electric folks. But what I also saw was it's like a family. That you had in sports. When you connect with a lot of folks, it really brings a community. When I was there and high-fiving folks I've never seen before, I just looked at you and like, this guy is all about sports, which ended up parlaying into all of a sudden, you're also now one of the lead high school football announcers. How did that happen?
Absolutely. Well, years ago, and my good friend and actually the pastor at Pleasant Grove Church, Barry Stallings. Barry is one of the best play-by-play guys I've ever seen. And if you haven't never done radio, play-by-play is not very easy. We've actually done some basketball and football, but we love football. Football's just got so much wonderful strategy. But we had done a stint with GBR years ago, and then they did a management change, and then we weren't on the air for a while, but they called us back this past season. So Barry and I were very, very excited. So we kind of got the band back together. And like you said, I love sports, always have since I was a little kid. It goes back to your mom and dad buying you baseball cards, and thank God they didn't throw them out. And but yeah, we do Friday night football with WGBR. We do a broadcast every Friday at 7 p.m. 7 p.m. We'll be at Rosewood this weekend. Goals, we're taking on Rosewood. We've done 4 so far, but just love the sports analogy. We always do like a little podcast. We inject some NFL, some college football, but love sports, always have, and it's just a great venue to kind of explore, and we've gotten some pretty good feedback on it too. I think people generally enjoy it. I do the color commentary, so I dive into more of the analysis, some of the strategy, describe the action, that kind of thing with the broadcast. But it's a lot of fun. We have a great time. We were at ACOC this past Friday, and we just had such a great time out there. What a wonderful community, and what support they have for their Golden Falcons out there as well.
But it's great. It is difficult, right? So even in the form of any kind of interview, even this podcast and stuff, you want it to flow and to go well into it. And that ultimately leads to really an enjoyable time. And I will tell you, I sat and was listening to it a couple of weeks ago with you. It was just fun listening to it.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's what we do. We don't rehearse. I take some notes and stuff, and we have our rosters and everything like that. But a lot of it, you want it to be authentic and come from the heart. Plus, you got to describe the action. And when you think about it, when you're doing a broadcast, you got to paint a picture for that person that's not there. Like if they're driving in their car or they're sitting at home or wherever they are listening to the broadcast, they're not there. So your goal is to paint that picture and diagram that action so they feel the excitement and they feel like they are there. So that's what we do. And again, Barry does a great job with that as well. He's a lot of fun. So we'll crank it up again Friday night. But it's kind of a fun hobby. I guess, obviously, I ended up being a financial advisor, and that's a great field. I guess in another life, I might have been an ESPN on Sports Center or had my own sports show or something like that. That would have been fun too, career-wise. That certainly.
Hey, it's not too late. You and I, hey.
It's not too late. But that was always a lot of fun too. That was always kind of a dream job too. So, hey.
Man, I think all of it, especially you and I, we love sports. But I like your analogy of painting the picture. And so as we paint the picture of you and we look at your upbringing, we look at your family, that's ultimately led to a lot of success. And when I say success, I know you're humble enough to give that to the Lord and to provide that. But I've got to ask you, it's something that I always want to know when I see someone like you or anybody who is really passionate, who one gives back to their community, gives back to their family, and continues to want to provide support, love to the community. What do you think? One, I would say, what draws you? What continues to motivate you to seek to give back? And then the second would be, what has been the center of your success?
Great. Absolutely. I would say, like I said, I was very blessed and very fortunate, and I do believe in paying forward, so to speak. God gave me the ability to do some things, and so you use those tools to go out in the community and do those things with kids. And I'm really big on youth. A lot of my centerpiece with helping in the community is I'm in the Sunrise Kiwanis Club, and everything we do is for the kids. All the money and fundraisers and things that we do key clubs in the high schools. We got one at Eastern Wayne. We got one at Wayne Country Day. We're looking pretty soon to get the one restarted back at Charles B. Aycock, which I'm really excited about. So I hope that comes to fruition. But it's giving back to the kids. Also, I helped a lot on the Tuscarora Council with scouting. And scouting now has female and male scouts, and I love scouting. I think it's the greatest leadership organization in the world as far as teaching kids how to be leaders in the world and have a good moral compass as well. Because again, the kids are our future, and then that kind of thing. I think all those things are very, very important. So those things kind of stand out. You gotta invest in your kids and your future, because that's what it's all about. But I don't take things for granted. I was the only child, and sometimes I think people think, well, only children are probably just spoiled brats. But I was more like appreciative, I guess might be a better word. But I think it's important. Every day's a gift. When I woke up this morning, it was already a great day. I opened my eyes. That's a great day. You've already got to. I do my workout. I've got a routine, and then and it all goes to the Lord. You say a prayer. You want to do what you can to make that day. And again, you want to make a difference. What can I do today that I didn't do last week? And then tomorrow will be another opportunity, hopefully. So it just keeps on rolling. But every day is exciting. I'm so pumped up when I get up in the morning. I'm just ready to go. And like I said, blessed to have a great career. Again, I want to be a difference maker. At the end of the day, one day when the Lord calls me home, I want somebody to say, did he really make a difference around here? Did he really make a difference while he was here? And I hope the answer is yes.
Oh, it's definitely yes. I love hearing that, because you do get me fired up. I think the outlook that you said right there, where you wake up tomorrow and it's a great day. Now there are going to be some days that are difficult, right?
Absolutely. And that's something else I do. This is another thing Mom and Dad taught me a whole lot of, is I just tend to focus on the positive. I don't like to hear why we can't do something. I like to let's figure out how we can do it. Maybe we need to tweak it a little bit. There's some things that are more challenging than others, but I'm just not a very negative person by nature. I'm more the half glass full person than the half glass empty person. But I do believe a lot of times there are ways to get things done. It's just you got to. I'd rather focus my energy on positive things instead of focusing on the negativity of figuring out why we can't get something done.
Yeah, I totally agree with you on that one. And I try to look at some of those things like I do like pondering on certain challenges that I have faced. And especially when we talk about, how do we grow? How do we become better? How do we serve better? Do you have anything that pops in your mind, a challenging moment that you'd like to share that you really, it was very difficult, but you were able to overcome that in some way, something that pops in your mind?
Yeah, basically, I would say career-wise, we're in the financial services industry, so you have all these goals and all these demands and these regulations and everything like that. It's a really tough career. So I think a lot of times you have to you go out in the world, you want to try to make a difference with clients and everything, but things change, and you're almost like a psychiatrist, a psychologist, and everything to each person. And a lot of times your clients open up to you about a lot of stuff. They'll tell you stuff that's very private,
Well,
and they trust you.
and I can
They
see
trust
that.
you, and so you're almost. Yeah, I've actually had to give people not only financial advice, but life advice on how to handle their marriage, how to handle their kids. I won't obviously due to confidentiality, won't get too deep into that, but that goes on quite a bit. So that's kind of interesting. And sometimes that can hit you. You'll hear some stories that are heartbreaking. Heartbreaking. I mean, things you just don't, like I said, you sometimes never know what's going on in a person's life until you know, and then they reveal to you. And obviously, there's a lot of trust in our business. So sometimes a lot of people, they trust you, and sometimes they really open up to you. But I've had to give some pretty tough advice to some folks, some things they need to take a look at to get their life in order, not only on the financial side of things, but just life in general, so that the other things can kind of take care of itself.
Man, I never thought about that, but you're absolutely right. Or maybe I actually have thought about it a lot. I'll be honest with you, maybe 10, 15, 20 years ago, I went through a divorce and came out of that with about $75,000 in debt. But I thought and looked at it only as the money. But it wasn't that. It's interesting that you mentioned you become almost like, a family friend, right? Because I was struggling with, it seemed like I just didn't know how to manage my finances or my life, eating out all the time or just making poor choices on my budgeting. So you see all of that, and your clients really, though, they do become like family, don't they?
Absolutely. And mental health is a real thing. Back when I was growing up, a lot of people didn't talk much about mental health back in that era. It was almost like, you just got to be tough. You got to tough it out. You got to deal with it, all that kind of stuff. But it's a real thing. And I've learned to appreciate it more and have learned actually more about that. And I think it's made me a better person. I think it's made me a better financial advisor. And it's helped me too, because we all deal with, we all know we all have ups and downs in life, but we all have things we have to struggle with and deal with too. And it's how you handle those kind of things.
Yeah, it is. And it's really, when that says, when you have that tough day and you're at work, and I think one of the great questions I always love asking leaders is, how do you juggle all the things you do? So you've got a full-time job. You're also a football broadcaster. You're also in the Kiwanis. You're also in a number of other Rotary. You're in a ton of different things. And then you have 2 kids. You got a wife. How do you juggle everything? How do you prioritize all that?
Yeah, I think it's all about balance. Something my dad taught me too. Again, I know I keep referring back to Ken Neal, just awesome, unbelievable father. He said, he taught me this at an early age, and I didn't really understand it then, but man, did it make more sense later on. He said, Harlan, if you find something you want to do with passion and really enjoy it, you'll never have to work another day in your life. So I don't think of my career. Some people have jobs where they do it because they got to earn income, but they probably don't love it that much. They're kind of doing it because they have to, and it can be tough. But I can honestly say, when I get up in the morning and I look in the mirror, I'm so happy to go to work at Janie Montgomery Scott. And he taught me that. So I think some of it is I'm having fun and enjoying it. So that takes some of the stress off right there. But again, it's all about balance. It's all about balance. I have to get my thoughts together before the day starts, that kind of thing. Sometimes what I'll do when I go to the beach, I take those morning walks.
I see the pictures. The pictures
morning
are beautiful.
walks on the beach, and when the sun rises, they are so therapeutic. That is something great. Sports is also a vacuum for me too. It's a release. I enjoy sports a whole lot. It gives you a lot of energy, a lot of passion. It's taught me a lot of things. Teamwork. Being resilient. But again, I just don't have many negative stuff drains you. It takes energy away from you.
Right.
Positive gives you energy. And my wife will be the first one to tell you, she goes, Harlan, you got plenty of energy. So, that's all a part of it. So because she hears me talk, and it's just funny, but that's what it's all about. So I think it's channeling and balancing all that stuff out and using that positive. It fuels all the things I do.
It does.
That's why I do what I do. And I don't even, sometimes I don't even realize how much I'm doing. I just do it because I want to and I believe in it.
Hmm.
It's not like I really keep a score sheet or anything. It's just, you just do it naturally.
Man, I'll tell you what, I don't know about you, Gage, but I'm pretty fired up over here. It does. It gets me excited when you talk. I've already said that before, but it does because, when you say these things, I know they're true because I see it at work. I seen you at work, and I love going into your office area. You're right, Janie Montgomery Scott, all the folks, when you go inside of there, it is special when you go in and you go into an organization where people are coming in to trust. They want to invest. They want to make sure their future is good. And I can't think of a better person than you that I would want to go and sit down with. And with that comes the fact that you are made up of a ton of great folks who have fed into you. And so I always love to ask somebody, name some folks who have really fed into you, that you have really, really been blessed by them. And are there any books or anything like that you would recommend to anybody to read that can really help them get to where you're currently at?
I would say definitely, obviously, we already talked about mom and dad were the foundation.
Yeah.
Obviously, huge imprint there. Obviously, playing sports, I think your coaches can make a big impact on you too. They
Agreed.
teach you through a lot of adversity. I was fortunate that I played high school football at Eastern Wayne High School, graduated back in '79, and I played for the late Bill Garner. And Bill actually ended up being a pastor at the Quaker Church later on in life. And so we heard some sermons back in the day too, but they weren't exactly the kind you would hear in the pulpit.
Yeah.
But he never cussed or anything like that, but he got our attention pretty good. But
yeah.
It's amazing how tough my coaches made us. There's things that if you'd have told us what we were going to do in practice back then or what we were going to do before we started, we'd have said, there's no way. There's no way we could get all that done. But it's amazing what you can do when you put your mind to it and you're focused and you're working hard and you're as a team, the teamwork and all the camaraderie there. Also, when I went off to college, I played a couple of years at the junior college, Ferrum Junior College up in Virginia, which is a little bit between Roanoke and Martinsville, Virginia, kind of the Shenandoah Valley up there. Played for an all-time legend coach, Hank Norton, who ironically, very tough old school coach, but a great coach. And a little side story on that's kind of cool is Hank, you remember the Marshall plane crash. Everybody
do.
remembers that. Well, Ferrum College at that time, a junior college, it was a feeder to larger four-year schools. And unfortunately, Hank was like a dad to a lot of the guys. I mean, he was a dad to me too, but I had a great dad. But some guys weren't that fortunate. But it was a little bit, a couple of years before I got there actually, because that was back in 1970. I played back in 78 and 79. But the history was still there. There was 8 former Ferrum players that were on Marshall that perished in that plane crash. Plus his assistant coach, Coach Tolley, was his top assistant coach. He was the head coach of Marshall at that time. He perished in that plane crash too. And Hank, I know he struggled with that. He didn't ever talk much about it back then. And I found this out years later. They called him later on. He was the first coach they called when they were looking to revitalize their program.
Right.
They called him, but he just couldn't do it. He was from Huntington, West Virginia, but he was such a great leader and made us work hard. And we had study hall back then. We had it was kind of interesting back then. Whether you were a good student or not, you had to go to study hall. So it taught you some great fundamental things.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's all you had to get your academics done. You had to work hard. You had to be passionate. You had to get up. There was a structure to everything you do. You had to work. There was no substitute for working hard, but the rewards were fantastic. So stuff like that leaves a big impression because you can take all those lessons right there, and no matter what field you go out into, you become a better leader, a better person, and you make things happen. You don't talk about things happening. You want to make things happen.
Mm-hmm.
So that type of thing. As far as books, I guess this is the book, the Remember the Titans.
I love it.
That's one of my favorites.
Love it.
I just love that. I love it. It has a lot of great things about teamwork and everything that was going on in that era. That's one of my favorites there. A lot of sports books that I've read. I mean, there was ones, the Mickey Mantle story's great.
Oh my
You know, because he
goodness.
went through a whole lot back then, you
He
know, with
did.
his lifestyle and what he did. And, you know, he had some regrets and that kind of stuff like that too. I read some great books with Coach Mike Krzyzewski, former coach of the Blue Devils, the leadership and all the things. Those are all, a lot of my books have been, no surprise, it's been sports books.
Well, I mean, I think, and I read the Mike Krzyzewski book, at least there's a couple and stuff, but it's about putting a team together. And to tell you the truth, that's what I think we do in a community is we put a team together. And it is so, so great to have you on this team by far, the chamber team, but also in the entire community team. You make a huge difference, Harlan, every day.
Well, I just think it was an honor. I remember the day I got that call, Selena World called me and asked me, would I be the chamber president? And I was almost floored. I was in my car and thank God I wasn't driving. I was luckily at a drive-through, but without hesitation, it was quite an honor to even be selected to do that. And with all that history on the wall in there and all the great former leaders we've had and people on that wall that are still making an impact, it is unbelievable. So, and then to have the chance to work with folks like yourself and Stacy and Casey and Linda and Janet. I mean, it's all about culture, just like culture at work, culture in your church, culture with the people you hang out with. That's what it's all about. You hang out with good people, you have great things happen.
It's true. It's true. And I always use this, and I started using it recently. It's you're all in.
All in. Yeah, my favorite, Dabo Sweeney, that's a great quote there. He's all in. Yeah, I know they're struggling now. They're 1-2 and everything. But I do believe if you're going to do something, if it's got your name on it, make sure it's your best effort.
Yep.
Don't shortchange it. If it's got your name on it, make sure you're all in. And, that's my message to the board this year too, all in. I want a working board, not a sitting board. And we've got a great board. And it'll continue to flourish and that kind of thing like that. But it's so important, teamwork, because there's a reason why you're in that seat. There's a reason why you're sitting there. And all of us bring different things to the table. And then you combine all that together. And then what a wonderful outcome you're going to have.
Yeah, we do. And so now with you all in, it's lightning round. So I always like to do this because I always love to know a little bit more about the people, to know more about what makes you you. And so I'm going to throw a few things out real quick.
Sure.
Favorite Duke, let's just say favorite Duke athlete of all time.
Favorite one of all time? Boy, that's a tough one. There's so doggone many. I would probably say Christian Laettner. A lot of people didn't like him, but he was just a tough character, and Christian would rub people the wrong way. But man, the guy was a winner.
Yeah, he was. Great shot against Kentucky, right?
Oh, absolutely. He walked to a different drum beat, but my goodness, he got things done. There's some great stories between him and Bobby Hurley in practice. I won't go into all that there, but anyway.
Right. Favorite Cincinnati Reds baseball player?
Johnny Bench.
Easy.
No doubt. Great Big Red Machine, loved all of them, but Johnny Bench.
Yeah, he was something
Met
else.
him personally several times, got some great autographs from him, and great person. He still appreciates the game a whole lot. Just a super guy.
All right, so favorite rock band?
Rock band, AC/DC.
Okay.
I'm
I did not see that coming.
I'm a rocker. I know it's a little bit different, a little bit, but yeah, rock band. But I love all kinds of music, though. Believe it or not, all kinds of music. Listen to all kinds of pump music in the car. That's another thing I do to get my day started. I get some pump music before I go on.
No, that's good. Our last one I'll leave you with is a favorite movie.
Favorite movie? Remember the Titans.
Oh, that's a classic.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah.
That is a classic. So, well, Harlan, brother, it is a pleasure to have you here, brother. Look forward to, we still got a few months together as we finish out this year at the Chamber. But again, you've been an absolute blessing for us. And I think I could probably speak on this entire community. God bless you. Thank you for what you and your family do for all of us.
Thank you so much, Todd, for having me. It's such a blessing to be with you this morning.
You got it. Thanks, brother.
Yes, sir.